Hello guys, and welcome back to another video in our channel. In our video today, we are going to do an in-depth tactical analysis of Chelsea's 2-0 defeat away at Newcastle. It was such an interesting game, a game that Chelsea really needed to win, but unfortunately Chelsea did not win this game, and there's a lot of factors that contributed to Chelsea's decline in this game. One key factor was Jackson's red card that came on in the first half, and Chelsea had gone 1-0 down, and it was a needless foul that Jackson committed that now sees him not playing the next two games in the season and finding himself out of the team and actually costing the team 3 crucial points. Now, when we look at the Premier League table, Chelsea are 5th, joint in points with Aston Villa. Villa won against Bournemouth, but Chelsea have eclipsing them with a goal difference. Nottingham Forest have not won, so it's more likely looking like Chelsea will have to win their next two games, or probably Villa and Nottingham fail to win their games and Chelsea win. Now, when you look at this fixtures, when you look at the running, especially for second, third, fourth, and fifth, sixth, and seventh place, you notice that Chelsea will have to win both of their games to be sure, but they can also secure top 4 if probably they win and both Newcastle and Aston Villa lose. Now, Newcastle away has not been an easy game for Chelsea. I think this is the 4th season in a row where Chelsea have lost away at Newcastle, and a lot of fans were a bit skeptical about this game, and rightfully so. And I thought that the game, the manager had prepared something, but it seems there was a problem. Before we even start our analysis, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Let's proceed to the lineups. And when you look at the lineups, you notice that Newcastle altered their lineup to go with more of a 3-4-2-1, while Chelsea sticks to a 4-2-3-1. And Eddie Howe came up with this lineup because he had a surprise for Chelsea. He came up with a way of mitigating Chelsea's build-up and also mitigating Chelsea's overload in midfield, as he wanted to have 4 midfielders on the pitch to limit Chelsea's box midfield structure and have a back 5 to limit Chelsea's attacking players. Now, let's look at the attacking situation. Now, you can see from this clip, Lavia has been given the ball by Chalobah. He lost the ball, and now you can see how Newcastle were able to effectively counter and position themselves and taking a lead earlier on in the game. And this was not the best way for Chelsea to start, because now they were unable to grow into the game. They are away at home, and you could see the naivety. Now, what did Newcastle do? Newcastle used their structure effectively, looking to cover all central passing options for Chelsea, picking up one Chelsea centre back and applying pressure on Robert Sanchez. The main aim was to deny Chelsea's backline any time and space on the ball, and this is what happened. Lavia receives the ball, but he has been tightly marked by Tonali. Once Lavia receives this ball, he loses the ball, and now Newcastle are winning the ball inside Chelsea's own defensive third. And once Newcastle win this ball, it's over. Now, Chelsea understood that this press was well coordinated and identified that they had 1v1s at the back, and Maresca instructed Sanchez to go long to try and pick up these runners. But one thing that Chelsea were trying to do in this scenario is that when they were going long, they were trying to use Jackson as a target man, which to me, I did not find it to be great, because I expected them to be targeting the wide areas, especially for the runs of Noni and Pedro Neto. As you can see here, Sanchez receives the ball and is immediately put under pressure with Alexander Isak. And now when Isak is applying this pressure towards Robert Sanchez, Sanchez is forced to go long. But you can see the way Newcastle are covering all central passing options. But when this ball is played long, Jackson is the one who's supposed to win this duel. And this is where Jackson lost a lot of aerial duels towards against Shah and decided to go more physical. And this is what led him to receive the red card in that game. And now when Chelsea were looking to try and attack before Jackson was off, is that Chelsea were looking to invert their fullback, that is Caicedo, in midfield. But because of the structure that the Newcastle were using, which was a 5-4-1 structure, narrow midfield 4, is that Chelsea were shifted into more of a 2-3-5. And this is because only Isak was the one who was pressing the centre backs, and also they wanted to outnumber Newcastle in midfield by having as many as 5 players to try and match Newcastle's 4 players in these positions. But again, Newcastle had that extra man in the attacking lineup. The central areas of the pitch were well marked by Newcastle, as you can see in this clip, that made it even more difficult for Chelsea to look and try to penetrate Newcastle's strong, organized block of 9. And because of this solid structure, Chelsea were found themselves just circulating the ball sideways and backwards, with Newcastle looking to identify that trigger to win the ball and immediately look to transition against Chelsea, something they played against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final. Now, when Jackson left, this also made it worse for Chelsea, because in the second half, Chelsea started to gain some control in the game. But gaining that control and having 4 players against Newcastle's back 5, it was quite uneven. And even sometimes Maresca decided to take the risk of pushing Marco Kurela deeper to try and overload that backline. But this will leave Chelsea vulnerable, especially through counter-attacks. Now, this kind of structure made it difficult for Chelsea to influence the game, because now they had less player in attack. And even if they wanted to make a strong contribution in this game, it was clearly impossible for them to do so. Newcastle, on the other hand, also had some interesting tactics when they looked to build from the back, when they looked to play through Chelsea, especially in the first half, where Newcastle were looking even to dominate possession against Chelsea. And this is how they did it. Newcastle identified the way Chelsea were looking to press, and they were looking to go direct to their wing backs, as they identified Chelsea were pressing in a narrow structure. And because they had this overload with their wing backs, wide centre backs and wingers, Chelsea were constantly found on the back foot. And when Chelsea decided to sit in a 4-4-2, we started to see Newcastle's box midfield creating problems for Chelsea, and Chelsea's midfielders in particular were being dragged out of position. And this constant dragging out of position, like for example, look at this Chelsea structure. Look at how the spaces in between the players are so wide. This is easy to play through. Compare that to Newcastle, who their structure was so narrow. In this scenario, Chelsea ought to have created a narrow structure so that they may not have conceded chances against Newcastle. But Chelsea were lucky that Newcastle did not score their chances in this situation. But overall, you can see even when Chelsea are defending, they are not quite narrow. They are not quite fixed. The principles of defending is that you defend the least space as possible. So you make those distances so small between players. But we did not see that with Chelsea. Now, Chelsea have lost this game. Chelsea are 5th place. Chelsea are the ones who are in the most danger in this kind of fixture. They are 2 points behind Manchester City, 3 points behind Newcastle, and they will heavily rely on Arsenal taking points from Newcastle, as well as them winning the 2 games. It is non-negotiable for Chelsea to win the next 2 games against Manchester United and away at Nottingham Forest. Manchester United has been that team against Chelsea. We don't know what is going to happen. So, in my opinion, Chelsea have to need to win this game. If not, then they have to heavily rely upon Aston Villa dropping points against Spurs. Will that even happen? Leave your comments in the comment section area below. Thanks for watching. I know the video delayed, but I made a promise that we are going to analyze the video, and it is done. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Bye.